Hey everyone, it's Nightharo here, and we have some massive changes coming for tanks in Update 42. So you no longer have to block heavy attacks at all. Parrying works, and what does that mean? Well, let me just show you a quick video of me realizing that and my and my honest reaction whenever that happened. Should be coming soon. Here it is. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! It works. Oh my god! We can DPS tank. Bomb, we can DPS tank, dude. Oh my god. This is the best update Zoss has done yet. That's amazing. So yeah, parrying works. That's not the only thing though. We also are getting a Magicka chain for everybody, which I knew, or I kind of really highly suspected that we would all be getting, but it's much better than I previously thought. And I feel like it's Oprah, where it's like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a Magicka chain, you get a Magicka chain. A lot of different nuance to that in being able to craft our own skill. So that's really cool. And then probably the biggest thing, which I don't know, I should have led with this, is that double ice staff tanking is no longer meta. It is no longer needed. You can still do it if you want. There's like a tiny reason to do it. There's a very minute reason to do it. But in general, scribing offers basically nothing to those who are double ice staff tanking. However, if you're sword and board, we actually have quite a few skills here that are pretty useful. And well, one skill, but quite a few modifications of that skill that could be useful. So the way we're going to structure this video, what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you like 2 or 3 really good skills and the loadout that I would choose for them in most situations. I'm going to show you what those are. Those are the main things. And then I'm going to show you 3 more skills that are ancillary to varying degrees, could be useful, could be interesting, so that you'll be more well-informed, okay? So at least stick for the first half of the video, catch these skills, and then, obviously only for those who want to go more in-depth, catch the last half where we do that. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so the first skill we have here, we'll actually look at shield throw, okay? So this is the one skill we can create from the sword and board skill line here, shield throw, and you can see that it has a cost. It doesn't even have a distance or anything else here. So what I'm recommending is choosing to make this our taunt. So this is a ranged taunt on the sword and board skill line, which has a 28-meter range, which is pretty cool. Taunts for 15 seconds, also does a little bit of physical damage. Then what I'm recommending is Fencer's Parry. So Fencer's Parry, what this does is whenever we cast this, the next direct damage attack that happens to us in 3 seconds, which you already saw, does nothing. It does completely nothing to us. So we no longer have to, as long as you cast this right before a heavy attack and there's no other sources. So you do have to be careful if you're getting a lot of sources of direct damage attack. So any light attacks from ads or anything like that, but you'll take 0 damage. This also opens up to DPS tanking. Obviously, this is the sword and board skill line. This Fencer's Parry is available in the dual wield and 2-hander skill lines as well. So anyways, that's out of scope of this video, but it's pretty cool and something I will 100% be doing. All right, and then what we're going to choose is Maim. So Major Maim, which reduces our enemy's damage done by 10%. So this is huge. This is massive. This is one of the main reasons you wanted to use a double ice staff, is so that you could keep this Major Maim on a target, because it would actually end up making it where you took less damage with double ice staffs. Even though it was much harder to do, you would actually take less damage. And so in the extreme situations, you always wanted to do that. It also only lasts for 4 or 5 seconds. I think 5 seconds. This lasts for 10. So at least twice as long. Pretty huge. One modification you could make to this, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, is you could change this to a multi-target thing, and then you can apply Major Maim to multiple targets, 3 in total. So pretty cool, pretty crazy. Shield throw, going to be definitely one you want to keep on your bar. After that, we're going to do Wield Soul. Take a look at from the Soul Magic skill line. There's 2 skills. There's 1 for each weapon, and then 2 for the Soul Magic skill line. We're going to use this as our ranged Magicka chain, so pull. So we're going to use the pull ability to chain our targets in. It will also taunt them if they're not already taunted, which is kind of a standard ability that's been happening now. I will note that you can't use this to fully replace your taunt, typically, unless they fixed it, because usually a target will turn around and run off on you, unfortunately. Now, the crazy part, Druid's Resurgence. So a lot of these skills, they have the same name, but they do different things. So just keep that in mind. This version of Druid's Resurgence gives you 1,000 Magicka and stamina back. So we can turn Magicka into stamina. So all of the Necros throughout Tamriel are rejoicing right now. We have a way of getting back stamina, and not only a little bit of stamina, a lot. We can turn Magicka into to stamina now. So pretty crazy, pretty awesome ability. Almost a 1-for-1 ratio, or at least, pretty close to it. Less than a 2-for-1 ratio. So Druid's Resurgence, absolutely we're going to use on this skill. And then we're going to use Cowardice. So Cowardice is not going to be, the hugest thing in the world, but it reduces our enemy's weapon and spell damage by 430. And before, there's only a couple of sources of this, namely a Nightblade is the only one who could really do it. Now everybody can. So this reduces our damage taken by several percentage points. Depends on the particular target, depends what's going on, but it's huge, and it's part of our chain to begin with. So we'll actually be using this in combat, potentially even on bosses, to get back stamina and also to reduce our damage taken from them. So massive. Wield Soul, absolutely going to be crazy. I will note, we're going through talking about all this stuff could change, but I don't think most of it will. I think there'll be subtle changes. I don't think they're going to rewrite a bunch of this stuff because that would cause absolute chaos. I think we're much more likely to see the time and duration or the amount or something change. I don't think they're going to rewrite all of these skills. All right, so after that, we're going to do Ulfsild's Contingency here. So this is from the Mages Guild skill line. So we're going to take a look at this. So we have two options here. I chose Shield. You could also do Healing. Either one of these is equally. So if you're on a class that has a shield, you'll choose Healing. And if you're on a class that has Healing, you'll choose a Shield, because usually one of those is better than other. If you're on a class with a shield, shield that is, usually your heals are kind of weak, and vice versa. If you don't have a shield, usually your heals are pretty weak. So whichever one you are, if you're one of the classes with a class shield, so Templars, DKs, Sorks, Arcanists, those are the four, and then the other three don't, so that determines what you'll choose here. But Healing or Shield, both are fine, whichever one you need. And then this is kind of nuts. Gladiator's Tenacity, and I'm sorry, I didn't actually select that. Gladiator's Tenacity. So this is nuts. This reduces your damage taken by 8% for 7.2 seconds. And right now, as it's written, it's a completely unique buff. So that's really cool. And there are major and minor buffs. So I do think that this is intentional, but I could also see some of these changing into name buffs or having the value adjusted. But 7 seconds, 8%, that's huge. This Contingency, what happens is that you cast this and then you cast another skill to proc this. I could see this proc situation changing because it's a little bit awkward, it's a little bit weird, but it's still really cool. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And then we're going to choose Protection. So not every class has a source of minor protection. DKs don't have a great one, Nightblades do, and so on and so forth. It totally depends on what class you're running. Everybody has one now. So that's what we'll choose so that we can always have that minor protection. If you already have a class source, you're going to be getting like a Nightblade that'll always have it. Also a Warden, so on and so forth. You just pick something else, whatever looks good. There's not a ton here actually if you're a Nightblade, but do the best you can. And those are the three main skills that I highly recommend. We'll have to figure out where we're slotting them on our bar. We'll have to figure out if we always need them. Like this Ulfsild's Contingency could definitely, you could yeet this off your bar if you needed to, but the other two look really, really strong. So now let's look at three more that are a little bit more situational or something that's kind of interesting and cool, but you might not want to stick with. I think first we'll start off, and I actually don't know where to start off first. I don't know which one's best. We'll just start with Soul Burst, kind of arbitrarily here. So we have another situation. So a lot of these, when you see a damage shield, you can also swap that to a heal. So again, as I said before, just do it based on your particular class. And then this is an interesting ability. First off, look at the cost here. 4,700. It's ridiculous. Now, obviously, we'll have some reduced cost and chance, and that'll help us get this cost down, but it's really high, and that's the problem with this and why it's not one that I'm like, you should always use this. But we can use this it consumes a soul gem, and it generates 2 ultimate up to once every 3 seconds. And if we look at our damage shield here, this says that it applies our signature and affix scripts, which is what that's a signature one, to us and our allies. So we're actually giving 2 ultimate up to once every 3 seconds to us and all of our allies. Now, most of the time when it says all of our allies or it says everybody in an area, it actually caps it at 6 people. I think that's probably likely what this skill will do, but I haven't had a chance to test it just yet. And then we're going to pair that with Courage. So we can get Courage from a lot of different sources here. We don't really have, Expedition, Minor Intellect and Endurance, and Minor Resolve. We don't need these. We have other sources of these, especially in optimized content. So we're just going to go with the Courage. So it's a unique buff, and then nobody else has to run that particular skill. Again, this is crazy expensive. So it's going to be hard to generate too much ultimate for our group, but it is is really interesting, and that's why we're talking about it. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We'll go ahead and talk about the fighter skill line, Torchbearer. So this is a really cool skill. So with this one, and you'll find this with some of these other skills, if you select physical damage, you see the cost here is about 2,500. If you choose something like healing, it goes up to 38, okay? So we're actually choosing physical damage because we want to make this a little bit cheaper on ourselves, and that's why we're choosing it relatively, intentionally. And also for the Fighter's Guild, all these cost stamina, just by the way. No matter what it is, it's going to cost stamina. So we'll choose physical damage just because we want to get the cost down more than anything. And then Gladiator's Tenacity reduces damage taken by 30% for 2.2 seconds, which is nuts. The thing is, the reason I'm not recommending this is that if you look here, this also says that, the benefit if you change this to a healing or something else, it'll apply the signature, which is what we just looked at, and the affix scripts to all of our party members so we can give it to other people. But it's going to cost stamina, and it's going to cost a ton of stamina. So probably not something we're actually going to be using, to be totally honest with you, because it just costs too much. Probably this will be on a healer, but if you're in a dungeon or some other situation, you can use this, and yeah, 30% reduced damage taken. Probably the people that'll be using this are those who are DPS tanking and stuff like that. But it's really interesting, and that damage reduction from Gladiator's Tenacity is massive. And then you can also further increase ultimate generation by providing minor heroism for yourself. And again, if you had a healer or somebody who, or even a DPS perhaps, who could use this periodically, now probably it would have to be on a healer who could use this relatively often as a heal or as a shield or something, and they could afford it, they could reduce everybody's damage taken by quite a bit, and also, at least for a short period of time, and also provide that minor heroism. So interesting, not something that I think we're going to be using all the time, but it's really interesting. And then the last one we'll look at here is actually going to be Trample. Trample is going to be our new AoE in dungeon, CC, and crowd control ability. Now, there's a ton of these in all of these skill trees that we could choose from. Like every single one of them has something for stunning, for slowing, for knockback, for whatever. But you can pick here. It is an AoE ability that goes in front of you, so you could do like a stun if you want to do like also an immobilize as well, and then set them off balance. You could do this. This would work great in trash. So everybody's going to have some sort of option with Trample to be able to do that. All right. And then actually, I say that, well, I'll give you one more bonus one here. So Elemental Explosion, this is really interesting. So you can actually remove 3 enemy area effect abilities. We'll have to see what exactly this works on and what it doesn't work on. Dreadcell Reef, when you're dropping those ground AoEs on yourself from taking a lot of attacks on the boss. The Atros AoEs, I doubt that it works on those, but hey, it's interesting and maybe it will. And then we can choose War Mage's Defense here if we want a shield. There's not really a ton to write home about, and we can also get Minor Cowardice. So you'll also see with some of these, there's a ton of applications for healers. There's a ton of applications for doing, arenas, in particular the Infinite Archive. Lots of places, lots of changes that we can have stuff here. So that is the main gist of it. Okay, so those are the 3 main skills, and then a couple of bonus ones that could be some interesting things. We'll have to see how the values changes, how the costs change, and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? We're not going to go any more in depth. I think that we covered everything we needed to. We're going to call it right there. I think it's a great spot. We got a lot of cool skills here. I have a live stream where I went really in depth and walked through all these, talked about them for like 2.5 hours. I'm sure we'll do more, and I'll have more tailored videos in the future. But for right now, it's a good first look. So we'll call it here, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody who just found my channel. I got more videos like this coming out all the time. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, it's Night Haro here, and